Hello everyone, it's Dr. Stuart Allen Swerdlow.
And Janet Diane Moya Swerdlow.
And this is the Expansions News video for the first week of March 2021. And I told you that nothing happened on the 4th of March. I would have something to say. And I do have something to say. But before I say it,
Look at me.
I'm going to make a statement to my Italian audience because they love me.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know that they love me? So, may I?
I don't know why you asked me that.
Because you always have a look on your
Well,
face.
I'm not going to stop you. You already know that.
You stop me from other things.
No, but not this.
Ok. Ok. Ho una dichiarazione per l'Italia. Al mio pubblico italiano, grazie mille per il vostro sostegno. È stato un piacere parlare con voi ogni venerdì in live streaming con Eleonora Fani e le traduttrici. Una volta finita tutta questa foglia fabbricata, spero di tornare in Italia per vederti di persona. Vi apprezzo tutti e vi auguro saluti, gioia e prosperità. Fino alla prossima volta, ciao, vi amo tutti. Okay.
Am I supposed to be impressed now?
No, it's because I have done 4 interviews in Italy, and it was very nice, and I liked it very much, and they liked me very much, and I want to thank them for everything that...
Well, it's interesting
And
because
there's-
I'm the one that's the Italian citizen.
Yes, but so is Mussolini, and we know what they thought of him. Okay, I'll move on.
It's a good idea.
Yes, and so... What do I say? Those of you who are members of our expansions.com website have read my blog that I posted a few days ago, I think it was.
And there have been a lot of discussions
Oh, yes.
on the member side
Yes.
for many days now.
And so for those of you who are not members of our website, but
which we-
should be,
That's right, expansions.com. We certainly
but
encourage
should
you.
be, I'm going to give you a special treat. Just as I gave my Italian people a special treat, I gave them some stumoni. And so, you know what flavor that was?
I'm sure I do not want
Yes,
to know.
you don't want to know. Well, they know. Anyway, over the past few weeks, as you know, I've been very negative about what's going on politically in all global categories, not just in the United States, but everywhere. And I had felt that we all had been betrayed by the people that we expected to, and I quote, save us. And as some of you don't know, but the person that I had been speaking to, who claimed to be part of the 70th letter, I kind of dropped that person because, why? Told me all the executive orders were not real and nothing is what you see, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, then why are the executive orders being followed? Why are they letting people in over the border? Why are they changing this and changing that? If it's fake, why are people doing it? Why is it law?
Why do they have the vaccines? That's
Why do
my
they have a
biggest-
vaccine? And that I blame, I blame former President Trump. Or is he current President Trump? We don't know. And that's also an issue. It's like, we should know who our president is. And so I have made other contacts, or actually they have contacted me. And these are not, how shall I say, conspiratorial people, as would be the news would claim. But these are more conventional, high-level people in very high levels of government in the United States and elsewhere.
And as well as other businesses.
Very high up.
Yes.
And so, as you know from the past, I tend to have a rather large mouth. Would you say?
I have to answer that.
Yeah. And I have a very hot Russian scorpion temper, as you know very well.
That's why you can't have scorpions in the house.
Well, because you killed them.
Yes.
And that's just how I am. Right or wrong, that's how I have been made. And that's how I got through surviving in very adverse circumstances. Yeah, there you go. And beyond that even. So,
This is beyond outer space.
and so I'm just gonna quickly go through some of the points that were told to me. Some of them you already know, and it's good to review. So the person who's parading around as the President of the United States is actually an actor, and the real Biden is gone. When they told me he's gone, I don't know if that means he's dead, if he's in jail, if he's in a mental institution. I don't know. He's just gone. Okay, this is not the real original Biden that you see on the media. And speaking of that, I didn't even have this in my notes because I only recently found out. If you had watched the last video of so-called Dr. Fauci, look at the bottom where his neck meets his collar. He's a tie. There's this flap going up and down.
Don't you have that on your blogs or not?
No, I don't have. It was on another video. And this actually, it looks like someone has a mask on, and while they're talking, it wasn't secured properly, and the thing was going up and down, up and down. That's not Dr. Fauci either. So whoever's masking the raid as him, that's not the original one either.
Well, it's kind of interesting because they've been having some I don't even know what you call them, but videos of some type out on the internet, and they're calling it deep fake. And so they're showing you how that certain people look like certain people, but they're not. So to me, that's in preparation for perhaps revealing some of these deep fakes that are going on.
Well, and so I'm going to get to that in a moment, but they could be impersonators, doubles, what do you call it? Clones, and also computer generated CGI,
yes.
CGI. It could be any of those things. Anyway, there was no military strike on Syria by the United States. That was fake news. Again, we don't know which side did it. What the if the deep state did it, it was to make Biden look like he's doing something, and if the Trump side did it, it's to make Biden look bad. I don't know.
Maybe nothing happened.
But nothing happened. Nothing did happen. That's the thing. I was told the military is under complete control of President Trump, and I quote, Biden could not even get a chocolate bar from the military if he asked for it. Direct quote. President Trump, they told me, was inaugurated on January 11th of 2021 as the 19th president of the original 1776 republic. Because you may recall that in 1871, there was the Act of 1871, where the U.S. was bankrupt after the Civil War. And so they had asked the Vatican for a loan. And so that's when Washington, D.C. became a corporation, and we had the three city-states of London, Vatican, and Washington, D.C. now controlling the world, all under one supervision. So even though Trump was the 45th president of the total, since the beginning, 1770, 1781, he's only the 19th. If you skip all the corporate stuff from 1871 until now, then there were 18 presidents, and so he would be the 19th of the republic. The media will soon be under military control. I've heard that before. I'm waiting for it. Although I do notice they are attacking Biden, and they're attacking Cuomo, and they're attacking Whitmer, and they're attacking Newsom. That's a switch. Something's going on there. And this I found out from several sources, very high up. There will be a new American currency with a one-to-one exchange. So if you have an old US dollar bill and a new US dollar, they'll be one for one. So if you go to the store and you pay $5 for something, you'll get change back with the new currency. I don't know when that's going to start, but not too far away. This currency will be used actually by North and South America, the Caribbean, and possibly Australia. As of the morning of March 1st, which was a few days ago, 2021, hundreds of billions of US dollars were being moved across the world.
And we saw that when the International Monetary Fund all of a sudden shut down.
Yeah, so someone was reshuffling a lot of money. France and China will be exposed for creating false media news about the COVID issue. The SWIFT banking system, that's capital SWIFT, which is how banks transfer money, or you transfer money between banks, will be replaced by the QFS, or the Quantum Financial System. And the two systems, SWIFT and QFS, will run concurrently for a month or so until the complete switchover is done successfully. Social media will be made uncensored. I'm waiting to see that one too. There could be possibly a complete shutdown of the United States for 2 weeks only, as military starts doing things that they don't want people around to see and interfere with. The pandemic, of course, will be removed, which I have a story about. It's being removed in the United States now. 19 states have opened up most of their businesses and so on. Apparently, there was some deal made with Iran. I think it's a financial deal, not a political one, but a financial one. It's very confidential, and that will be revealed at some point. Here's something really fascinating to maybe prove a point. President Trump is still using Air Force One. It's in Florida with him. So why would he have that if he's not president? Why would he say he's going to run for a third time that he's already run twice and won? So, and everything you see on the media is a total show. It's not real, and you already know this. Senator Nunes from California was just recently on an interview, and he said everything in Washington is a Hollywood movie right now. He said that, and he would know. Also, do not trust states. What dates have been through? November 3rd, December 6th, December 21, January 6th, January 20, February 19th, February 26th, March 4th, all useless. Don't trust the dates. Obviously, if you have a plan to do something, are you going to tell your enemy what day you're going to do it? That would be stupid. But you could give fake dates out to fool them. Or the dates could be real, but the incidences or events are kept very secret because they don't want people to know. I don't know. We'll see. But however, something is happening. Obviously something is happening. That's not even a question. The question is who's doing it. So Hollywood has been very quiet. There have been a lot of suicides recently, resignations, sudden deaths of even very young people in their teens and 20s and 30s just dying. There have been a lot of arrests, and that's on the news, of human traffickers, meth dealers, all kinds of drug dealers. Like here, every day we see that. And so that's some things that you needed to know.
And for more discussions, get your membership, expansions.com.
Yeah, I'm not going to keep doing that, but I thought it was important for you to know what's going on, because I told you I'm going to have some things to say. And I will in a moment. I just want to tell you something first. First of all, whoever is in the fake White House, because the White House is closed up, there's nobody in there. It's surrounded by wrought iron gates and barbed wire. No one's going in there.
Oh, I don't know if you saw this, but
It's empty.
They said now that the troops have to stay another 2 months because nothing happened on March 4th. That's what they said now.
Well, maybe something did, and that's why they are staying.
Yeah, we don't know, but that's what they're saying.
Yeah, and why? Oh, and the troops are being poisoned with metal shavings, raw food. Who's doing that to them? And then Nancy Pants comes out with trays of food for them,
I'm sure.
with focaccia and special things, and she's giving it to them, except they're not getting it. She's getting it.
I don't know who would get it.
Yeah.
We have a lot of troops there. She couldn't carry that much food.
Yeah, she's just making a show.
It's
A show. Anyway, so-called Biden is Obama's puppet, because Obama was the shadow president for the 4 years that Trump was. He had like a secret government behind the government. Not the secret government, but a secret government. So that was going on behind the scenes. And so now he's going to try to complete what he started using this puppet in there. Biden's executive orders, if you read them, they are radical Marxist documents that have never been, nothing's ever like this been seen in United States history, and obviously written by Obama, and he's going to finish the job he started in 2008 supposedly. It's a Marxist plan to get every American possible on welfare and other government handouts in order to overwhelm the system, bring the national debt to levels never imagined, bankrupt the United States, and bring business owners to their knees with the economy collapsing. And then what do you have? A socialist dictatorship that has to be operated in detail. But Obama has modified this plan a little bit, except for the open borders. He wants to recruit millions, eventually tens of millions of foreigners who don't speak English, who know nothing about American history, U.S. Constitution, have no education, talents, or skills, and who require cradle-to-grave welfare, who will vote Democratic forevermore as long as they get their welfare checks coming in. What a great deal. Even for the Americans who don't want to work. Stay home, get paid, do nothing. Just listen to CNN and what the government tells you and just do what they say. Get your injections, wear your double mask. Perfect. We're little tiny, stupid moron robots. Very easy. So America will become foreign to Americans. And the illegal aliens will overwhelm the system with welfare, food stamps, free healthcare, free education, and 1,000 other things that they'll need. But here's my question. With the Dominion voting software, they don't need them because they make up voters that don't exist and they're tallied as real. So they don't need the immigrants. So there's two things going on. These illegal immigrants are not for voting. They're for something else. And I'm going to look into that. Now, it doesn't make sense. Something is very wrong, off. Now, also what's wrong, the U.S. Supreme Court declined to review 2 Pennsylvania cases that were given to them by Sidney Powell, and they had no explanation of why they rejected them. Powell had promised after the November 3rd election to release the Kraken. I guess the Kraken died.
Well, we didn't see the Kraken.
The Kraken cracked up. And she said there would be lawsuits that would blow up the claim that the vote was legitimate. Anyway, she told Erskine Radio in an interview that there was, quote, more than enough evidence in the public now to more than reverse the election in at least 5 states. Hello, so we're waiting. There's all kinds of precedent for fixing what happened in this election from Bush versus Gore to other cases as well, she said. And she noted that the federal law calls for election records to be kept for 22 months. Why 22 months? Why not 24 months, equal to 2 years? Why 22 months? I don't understand these stupid laws.
Right, because the legislatures want 2 months out of the year off.
So to me, it's beating a dead horse. I know she's correct, but no court is going to honor the evidence, obviously. So what is left? Military intervention. So another statement was made that, I hate to even say President Joe Biden, so so-called President Joe Biden, is a shadow of his former self. Americans see a president who is clearly mentally diminished and is getting worse on a daily basis. During the campaign, Biden refused to submit to a cognitive test because he knew it would show his mental decline. And his last medical report was issued in December 2019, so over a year, almost a year and a half ago. Ever since his inauguration, President Biden has been making frequent misstatements and obvious gaffes. One day he forgot to put his mask on after finishing a speech, and Scamella had to go put his mask on for him. Then he went to Houston, Texas, and Biden made a series of troubling statements. He referred to high-profile U.S. Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee as Shirley. Hey, Shirley, how you doing? And he mispronounced the name of Congresswoman Lizzie Pennell Fletcher twice. And after he made the mistakes, he said, "What am I doing here?" Yeah, we're all asking that, Biden. What the F are you doing here? And so, to cover his cerebral issues, he's not held any formal press conference and has been interviewed only a few times by friendly reporters. And that, what's her name, Psaki, the White House spokeslady, she's a mess. And they asked, why isn't Biden? And she said, oh, he's busy with the COVID stuff. Okay.
And she has to circle back to everything.
Yeah, she's
We'll circle
circling back.
to
She's
that. We'll
circling
circle
back. That's why she's dizzy, because she's circling back.
And they
circling
compare
back.
it to Zuckerberg. They put her face next to his, and they said they look just almost alike.
Maybe it is Zuckerberg.
Or maybe they're from the same
She's
clone.
as stupid as he is.
The same clone.
Anyway, on a typical day, Biden will make a statement or issue an executive order. He will give a speech filled with bumbled or contorted language. And then immediately exit the room as reporters shout at him questions. His condition has become so worrisome that 31 House Democrats are demanding the control of the nuclear football be removed from the sole authority of the president. God forbid you give it to Scamala. She'd just cackle away. What does this button do?
Who knows who really has these
Yeah.
things?
Supposedly Trump has it.
Trump's team.
In the background, smiling and patiently waiting, is Vice President Scamala Horace, a socialist with radical views on a range of issues, and she knows that very soon she will become, God forbid, we should all commit suicide
So-called.
if that happens.
So-called.
Yeah. So I hope something happens before that occurs, because we're in big trouble, Lucy. Now, let's go up north a little bit, just across the border here, to Canada. And we all know that Justin Trudeau, you know who his real father is Fidel Castro, although the many reporters in Canada try to debunk the story. But it is a fact that the Trudeaus were in the Caribbean in the spring of 1971. It is a fact they adored Castro. And it is a fact that the Trudeaus were swingers. And that's what you need to know. And you know, my cousin worked for Trudeau. You know, she used to take him on tours across Asia. Margaret Trudeau, which was Justin's
the mother.
mother, and Pierre Trudeau and Fidel Castro were all notoriously sexually promiscuous. Did you know that?
Yes.
How did you know that?
I have my sources.
Oh, yeah? Margaret Trudeau was a partier who unquestionably had sex with men while married to Pierre. They met when he was 48 and she was 18. Not too much pedophilia over there. They got married when he was 53 and she was 23. Well, it's a little bit better. Their marriage surprised Canada because Pierre had been a lifelong playboy with no wife or children. And you know why? I found out from someone who knew him.
I know
He
why.
was a gay. And she publicly states today that she suffered from bipolar disorder and self-control issues. I can relate to those things.
Sounds like programming.
I can relate to the
Programming.
self-control issues.
Yes, I can relate to your self-control issues.
Yes. She smuggled drugs in the Prime Minister's official government luggage. And she sneaked away from official functions to get high. She partied scantily clad at Studio 54, and she became embroiled in a scandal for having sex with Ted Kennedy. Oh, was she blind? She must have been blind. Yuck. Anyway, Justin Trudeau was born on Christmas Day. Did you know he was born on Christmas Day, 1971? That means he's going to be 50 this year. In order for his father to be Fidel Castro, his mother would have had to be somewhere close to Cuba in March and April of 1971, and she was. So the resemblance is astounding. Please check the link that we have on this podcast, because you will see the pictures of Justin and Fidel side by side at their same ages. Can't tell them apart. So, next thing. We talked about it earlier. There are 35 states that have eased at least some of their restrictions. Do you want me to read who they are? Okay, I'll read who they are. Okay, can I read some of them?
35.
Well, okay, I won't read all of them, but there is a wide range of them.
Yes, they can look it up on the link.
And there are other states who are beginning to further ease their... Texas, Mississippi, South Dakota, North Dakota, no more masks.
I talked about that.
And
last week.
today, Arizona. God bless those places. 15 states, including Florida, Iowa, Missouri, have lifted or never had a mask mandate. Montana has lifted most restrictions on business. So the ones that I found that are the most free are Texas, Mississippi, Arkansas, South Dakota, North Dakota, Montana, and Florida, and Iowa. Those are the most free states. So here's the thing. If you live in a state where they're not, like California, where he just, and you see this, what are you going to think? We want that too. What's the difference? If Arizona, next to California, is completely open, what's the difference? Is the coronavirus staying at the borders and, oh, it's California, we have to go in there?
There are going to be some people who are upset that states are open, remember?
Yeah, so you know what? There's going to be a lot of big issues, especially come summer when people want to be out and having fun and going to restaurants and going to the beaches and blah, blah. They're not going to want to wear a mask for another year in a row.
Well, it's spring break in Florida now.
Well, and that's a good place to go. Now, did you know that it's March and it's snowing in Hawaii?
No.
It's snowing in Hawaii, of course in the mountain. There's 3 feet of snow in South Korea. And there is snow in the UK, Scandinavia, and the Alps. And even in the middle of this month will be a big snowstorm in those areas. Arctic air is coming back at the end of the month. And of course here, they said we will have a gigantic snowstorm the last week in March.
We'll find out.
Big deal. What else is new? Oh, and here's something we didn't realize, which I only said for the last 11 years. A group of scientists from Europe presented new research, okay, from 11 years ago, that claiming the Gulf Stream is weaker now than it's been in any point over the last 1,000 years. No, it's not weaker, it's gone. There is no more Gulf Stream, and that ended with the BP oil spill disaster in 2010, 11 years ago, this April, I believe it was. So, yeah, I wonder how much billions they spent on that report that I gave them 11 years ago. The Gulf Stream, they said, moves 20 million cubic meters of water per second. It's kind of like what my bladder does every day. Anyway, and since it's not moving anymore, it's allowing all the cold water to rise to the surface of the ocean and cool the earth and make more clouds so less sun comes, and that's global cooling. And finally, I will leave you with this. There have been huge earthquakes in New Zealand area. One as much as 8.1. It's considered to be one of the largest quakes ever to hit the region. There was a 7.3, a 7.4, a 7.6, and today I know there's 6 point something. It's over and over and over. Greece has also had unusually strong activity with over 6 points on the Richter scale in Greece. There have been volcanic threats in Iceland and along the Cascade volcanic arc, where you come from, in Western North America. And they said that Mount Rainier and Mount Hood need to be watched.
Well, those people that live close not only need to watch them, they need to watch them from a long ways away.
And it's called, did you know that it's called the Cascade Arc
I didn't know that.
of volcanoes? And it said it's lighting up. It's lighting up because of the onset of the grand solar minimum. And that every time there's a grand solar minimum, those areas light up. And we have already increased quakes and volcanic activity in Japan, Indonesia, Italy, Iran, Guatemala, and even Siberia.
Okie dokie, my turn. Okay, I want to add to the history lesson that you had presented a couple weeks ago. It's not a lot, but it's something else I found out that I thought was extremely fascinating and people need to know.
What is it?
Okay, well, first of all, you already know, I'm sure, that the Catholic Church is the biggest financial power, and they rule approximately 2 billion of the world's 6.1 billion people. So it's the biggest financial...
No, wait, hold on. There's almost 8 billion people.
Well, according to this article.
Well, that must be
maybe
an
it's
old
written
article.
right. So the Catholic Church is the biggest financial power, wealth accumulator, and property owner in existence, possessing more material wealth than any bank, corporation, giant trust, or government anywhere on the globe. Now, we all know that Vatican City is its own city-state. A lot of people don't know that London's inner city is also a privately owned corporation or city-state, which is right in the heart of Greater London. It became a sovereign state in 1694 when King William III of Orange privatized and turned the Bank of England over to the bankers.
Turns out he was a lemon, not an orange.
Today, the city-state of London is the world's financial power center and the wealthiest square mile on the face of the earth.
London?
The city-state of London.
Well, but that, I thought it'd be Beverly Hills.
No, city-state. It houses the Rothschild-controlled Bank of England, Lloyd's of London, the London Stock Exchange, all British banks, the branch offices of 385 foreign banks and 70 U.S. banks.
And I think the Queen gets her stockings there.
It has its own courts, its own laws, its own flag, and its own police force. It's not a part of Greater London, England, or the British Commonwealth, and it pays no taxes. The city-state of London houses Fleet Street's newspaper and publishing monopolies. It's also the headquarters for the worldwide English Freemasonry and headquarters for the worldwide money cartel known as the Crown. Now, contrary to popular belief, the Crown is not the royal family or the British monarch. The Crown is the private corporate city-state of London. This is really interesting. It has a council of 12 members who rule the corporation under a mayor called the Lord Mayor. So that means 13. The Lord Mayor and his 12-member council serve as prophecies or represent who sit in for the 13 of the world's wealthiest, most powerful banking families. And those
The
of you
Illuminati.
who have read this know a little bit more of the history, blue blood. The British Parliament and British Prime Minister are a public front for these ruling crown families. Now, you also talked about that we have a third city-state created in 1790, which was actually the first act of the Constitution of America. The city-state, of course, is called the District of Columbia, and it's located in 10 square miles of land in the heart of Washington. The District of Columbia flies its own flag and has its own independent constitution. The city-states of London, the Vatican, and the District of Columbia are actually one interlocking empire, which is actually called the Empire of the City. This I did not know. The flag of Washington's District of Columbia has 3 red stars, one for each city-state in the 3-city empire. This corporate empire of 3 city-states controls the world economically through London's inner city, militarily through the District of Columbia, and spiritually, supposedly, through the Vatican.
Spiritually.
And of course, the Constitution for the District of Columbia operates under a tyrannical Roman law known as Lex Fori, which bears no resemblance to the U.S. Constitution.
You think?
And I remember at one point we were looking into some health laws that we have to follow here in the U.S., and we were told to contact healthcare providers in the District of Columbia because they had totally different set of rules than what we have to operate under in the rest of the 50 states.
So then how would that help you?
Because then I could go there for treatment if I wanted. They could also tell me different information than what I could find here because it's legal for them to say it. For example, we cannot say certain things heal, regardless if they do or not. But in the District of Columbia, they can say that and they can tell you. You just can't say it here in the 50 U.S. states.
I wonder if they can say mother, father, he, she, those kind of things.
I don't know, but I just thought that was very interesting. And now this was interesting. This kind of follows on the heels of one of your articles that the Goya Foods CEO Robert Unanue, how do you say his name? You know? Unanue?
Unanue, yeah.
Calls Donald Trump the real, legitimate, and still actual president of the U.S. during the CPAC speech.
So they know that.
Yes. He said the majority of Americans voted for Trump, and he suggested that Trump had been overthrown by communists who'd used the COVID-19 pandemic as a political weapon.
Yes.
And he believed the far left had seized control of the White House.
I feel like eating Mexican food now.
Saying that they seek to destroy our reason to get up in the morning, just what you were saying, God, family, work, and seek to cancel God. Now, it's interesting here. Now, we all know what's going on in New York. Governor Cuomo's in big trouble there.
Finally.
Now, here in Michigan, interestingly enough, the Michigan's unemployment agency director got $86,000 to leave his job on condition that he did not talk about why he was resigning.
So that's not too mysterious.
No, so he received, his name is Steve Gray. Actually, this happened in November of 2020, and they didn't really say anything publicly about it.
But there was somebody else.
Yes, I'm going to talk about that. So anyway, this was in November of 2020, and this confidentiality clause required him to release all claims against the state. So he's actually being paid from November 2020 through June 1st of 2021.
For doing nothing.
For doing nothing. Now,
that comes out of all the taxpayers'
yes.
pockets.
Now that's kind of interesting. The next one is even more interesting because,
Yes, I know.
as we know, when Governor Whitmer
Richmer.
was stripped of her powers to, just say anything she wanted. This Robert Gordon, who is the director of the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, basically took over and said, well, now he's declaring a state of emergency and he can say the same thing that she said.
Even though he had no authorization.
That's right. And legally he could not. He could place orders, but it's not law or
But
legal.
all the stupid people thought that was a law, and it isn't.
And people are still following it, stupid people. So it's interesting, which most people, I just learned this, I didn't know either. Apparently, Robert Gordon actually also resigned, and he received hush money of over $155,000.
Right, to do nothing.
He worked 3 months of this year. His whole contract was like 186 something.
And he gets that.
He gets 155,000.
So that's what we should get a job, quit, and then get the severance pay.
And then he has also, she's a senior deputy director for policy and planning administration for the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, Sarah Etsy. They gave her 4 weeks pay, only $12,000, to also leave with another confidentiality agreement. So the news reporters did ask the governor if this was hush money, and she's replied,
Oh, she's going to say yes?
it's the nature of a separation agreement. When someone in a leadership position leaves, there's terms to it. You can't share every term to it. That's just what it is. Of course, he left in the middle of this pandemic, which supposedly,
and left the state, from what I understand.
Yes.
He ran so far away that I don't even know where he is.
Yes. Well, I'm going to say maybe, thank God, the legislators just might do something, because the Republican legislators now,
Well, it's in the news now. She's in trouble.
yeah, they've called for Whitmer to revoke the taxpayer-financed hush money, and for the state attorney general's office to open an investigation into the payment and to these resignations.
She should pay it back.
Well, all of this is, as we know what's going on in the state of Michigan, is like, we don't know what's going on in the state of Michigan.
I'm telling you,
very
it's
bad.
the People's Republic of Michigan.
So they started with Cuomo, they're doing Newsom, now we're hitting Whitmer, so let's see what happens.
And you're going to see next is going to be Mayor Lightfoot in Chicago, and de Blasio Werner in New York, and so on, and Wolf in New Jersey. All of them
They're
going to get...
picking them off.
Yep.
Now in New York, speaking of which, now that there apparently is a new test case or initiative, I guess they're calling Excelsior Pass, which basically is a COVID passport, which means residents must prove that they've either been vaccinated or had a negative test. So that doesn't make any sense to me, because you can go have a negative test, get exposed, and then, whatever. And plus, once you've had the vaccine, it's a live thing, so you can pass that on to other people. But in order to enter sports arenas and theaters and certain businesses, you're going to have to show this. So they call it the Excelsior Pass. It was developed in partnership with IBM. Again, somebody else making a lot of money. And I know you told us once what IBM stood for, but I can't remember now. But it was, it was something that was not good. Let's put it that way. So anyway, so IBM is the one that's helping them do all this, and all these people making money off of the tests and the vaccinations and all sorts of things that are evil, evil, evil. So speaking of evil, Japan has told China to stop carrying out mandatory anal swabs on the Japanese citizens that live in China, because it's causing them great psychological pain, which I can imagine.
I don't think it's that kind of thing.
Tokyo has requested Beijing change the testing procedure, but has not received a response from China. And apparently American diplomats in China were forced to take anal swab tests. So Washington complained that it was undignified and told staff to decline, but Beijing claims that they didn't do that. And first of all, they claimed that it was done in error because diplomatic personnel were immune. Don't ask me why, because they can't, doesn't live on
COVID
that.
does not go on diplomats.
That's
they know
right, especially
the COVID
up
virus,
there,
they know don't go on diplomats.
especially up their bungholes, apparently. But then China said that was an error, and there were no anal swab tests carried on U.S. diplomats. And then, of course, the concluding sentence here of this article is the accuracy and efficiency of anal swabs remains controversial among experts because it's a respiratory disease. And so in my opinion, it's another way of just demoralizing people.
I think it's a badass decision.
Yeah. And I kind of reported on this, but this was kind of about what's going on in the schools, about this white supremacy stuff. So parents are saying that they're overwhelmed by education reformers seeking to impose anti-racist agendas on American schools. So there's a mother in New York, Manhattan, who recently was mandated to attend a 90-minute anti-racist Zoom seminar for her preteen daughter's school. The parent is mandated to attend an anti-racist Zoom seminar for her daughter. And they told her the most dangerous place for a black person is to live in a white person's imagination. That's what they told her on this thing. So the mother says they're presupposing uniform white aggression. And my thought was, please don't say that to my child. My daughter's imagination is not dangerous. This is ridiculous what they're doing to our youth and to parents and to everybody else in this world. Now, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez
We have to talk about that.
apparently has denounced the New York Police Department's new crime-fighting robot dog named DigiDog because it's racist.
Why is it white?
No, because they're using it on low-income communities of color.
No, every community has a color.
Yes.
And the ones who have low income usually have a lot of crime. So there's not a problem there.
That's right. So DigiDog was designed by Boston Dynamics. I've seen it on all kinds of stuff on social media. Has a starting price of around $75,000. And critics have warned that empowering a robot to do police work could have implications for bias, mobile surveillance, and hacking and privacy. But ex-officers say the robot has tremendous potential to help limit fatalities and injuries during hostage situations and other high-stake calls. So the rover is blue and black, so that doesn't, well, black, maybe it should be like blue and white or something. That would be white supremacy. I don't know, blue and blue. It weighs about 70 pounds. It's equipped with lights, two-way communication, video camera. It can search an area and send back real-time footage. It's powered by artificial intelligence to navigate on its own. It can climb stairs, see in the dark, and run at about 3.5 miles an hour. I don't think I could run that fast. It was designed for emergency situations that would otherwise be too dangerous for human officers. I still don't know how I feel like being monitored by a robot. Because you know how it is. They start with one thing and they just move it on to something else. But right now, DigiDog is currently being tested by the New York Police Department's Technical Assistance Response Unit, also by the Massachusetts State Police and the Honolulu Police Department.
Honolulu.
And this Jason Rance, I've told you about him before from my country, Seattle. I actually like him a lot because he agrees with what I say. Anyway, he hosts the Jason Rance show, and he's talking about, and we briefly mentioned this last week, about this thing for Dr. Seuss, which is totally blown up and is absolutely ridiculous.
Yes, there's a new one about Kamala. It's called Horton Hears a Whore.
Yeah. Anyway, so Jason Rance said not to dismiss this as a silly instance of fringe activists overreacting, because he said its progressiveness, so to speak, is affecting all of us. And of course, this kind of started with Virginia's Loudoun County Public Schools, which this is what I talked about last week. And they said research in recent years has revealed strong racial undertones in many books written and illustrated by Dr. Seuss. So that's what I said last week. Now, this Jason Rance goes on to say that the research comes from Katie Ishizuka and Ramon Stevens, two social justice activists behind something called The Conscious Kid, which is an organization dedicated to equity and promoting healthy racial identity development in youth. Okay? So now they have critical race theory. They're using this to condemn Dr. Seuss. And they said that they're using this critical race theory to judge the dominance and master narrative exhibited by white characters. So they look for stereotype in characters who are dehumanized or exoticized. So the cat out of the bag has Orientalism, anti-blackness, and white supremacy. And they can prove this because the cat's physical appearance, including the cat's oversized top hat, floppy bow tie, white gloves, frequently open mouth, mirrors actual blackface performers, as does the role he plays as entertainer to the white family in whose house he doesn't belong. So this is what they're doing to children's books. But it was funny, and I can't even say it on the show, but one of the top songs of the year has so much profanity in it, and that's one of the top songs. So that's okay for kids, but this isn't. And so somebody said they need to go after the lyrics of rap songs before they go after Dr. Seuss. It's just ridiculous.
That's true.
Yeah. But anyway, so they're saying that this is what they're applying, and it's growing. And then another ridiculous thing in Seattle, again, this Jason Rantz reported on, that now Seattle activists are claiming that the bicycle helmet laws are racist. So they took a study for 13 years, and they claim that they looked at 6,000 tickets, and out of those, during this time period, they looked at 1,667 tickets, which in this time period is less than 130 tickets per year. And they said the black bicyclists over 13 years got less than 300 tickets. Native American bicyclists got fewer than 20, and the Asians didn't get any.
Because they don't ride bicycles.
So what they're saying is that the police are using this to target certain communities. However,
How many white people got it?
the white people, it said that they represented 73% of the tickets, and they're 76% of the bicyclists. So that's like,
How could that be a racist
I
thing?
know, because they actually got less.
Yeah.
But now then somebody else says, well, the reason it's racist is because they can't afford the helmet, but they can afford the bike, right?
Mm-hmm. Which they probably stole it.
So they're actually looking, King County's actually looking to repeal the bicycle helmet
So people
law
could get
because of
concussions
this.
and head
Yes.
fractures because it's racist.
Yes, isn't that the most
Brilliant. It's
stupid
brilliant.
thing?
You know what? You deserve it, Seattle,
I
because you're
know.
stupid.
Move out of Seattle, please.
Anyone stays in Seattle is an idiot.
Okay, now here's actually a good thing in Alabama. They actually have a bill called the Vulnerable Child Compassion and Protection Act that was passed in the Senate and sent to the House, and which they will actually imprison or fine people who provide transgender minors with hormone therapy, counseling, or surgery. So
That's criminal.
no, they actually said they can't do it
Oh,
in
they
Alabama.
can't do it?
They cannot do it in Alabama.
Okay.
It has to now go to the House. So I think that's a plus.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's also found this article called "The Left is Carrying Out a Cultural Revolution," and they're talking about during China's Cultural Revolution in the 60s and 70s, the Chinese Communist Party, at the direction of Mao Zedong, called for the destruction of the 4 old customs, old culture, old habits, and old ideas that had to be destroyed.
That's called the Cultural Revolution.
Yeah, so children and students were encouraged by the communist government to inform on their parents and elders, to shame and condemn them in public, and they were forced to recant in what they called struggle sessions, which sounds to me like our white supremacy sessions, during which they were mocked, humiliated, and of course here, sometimes tortured and murdered.
Because of their children.
Yes, and that's what they're trying to do here because they're indoctrinating the young people. That's my opinion.
I told you what my grandmother used to say.
What?
You raise children, you raise your own enemies.
No, I was taught that they would destroy us from the inside without ever firing a shot, and that's what they're doing.
What, children?
No,
My grandmother?
The communists.
Oh.
So first of all, they can't come for the monuments. They destroyed the icons of the past. They rewrote history and even turned national heroes and founding fathers into enemies. We're seeing that. Then they come to the books, destroying any ideas or literature that
The
challenges
Nazis
their
did
ideology.
it, the
That's right.
Soviets, all these. All
And
the same
then they
thing.
come for the people to be silenced, which they're doing that on social media. And anyway, it's really ridiculous.
Very sad.
It's bizarro. And okay, something kind of interesting, I guess. Elon Musk has actually announced plans to create a city in Texas called Starbase.
So he's copying what the Saudi Arabians are doing.
Apparently, he wants to include SpaceX's testing facility, which is right now located in Boca Chica.
Boca Chica.
And he wants to change Boca Chica's name. It's kind of just
You know
playing
what,
around with
you know
it.
what Boca Chica means?
What?
Woman's mouth.
Yeah. He wants to change it to Starbase. I'd rather
I
live
like
in
that name.
I'd
I'd rather live
as
in
Starbase
than a woman's mouth.
Me too. Okay, and then now, of course, we have something else here that could possibly rewrite the history of life on our planet. And you know what? It was found in a single grain of dust.
Where'd they find the dust?
Water and organic materials essential for life are found on the surface of an asteroid.
Of course.
And a single grain of dust could rewrite the whole history of our planet.
First of all, where's the housekeeping on the asteroid?
I don't know. But they said it's the first time it's ever happened. And then another thing that could rewrite our textbooks is that Earth has an inner core because scientists have detected a hidden structure inside our planet.
Yeah, it's called Hollow Earth, Nix.
So all these things are going to rewrite history. And then, just in case you do want to get off Earth, apparently, Orbital Assembly Corporation, there's OAC instead of AOC, Orbital Assembly Corporation,
I think they just in her in space.
is the process of building the world's first space hotel.
I heard about that.
Yeah.
I think in 2027 you can go there.
Somewhere. This article had both dates, 2025 and 2027. But what was interesting to me is that this project is run by the Gateway Foundation, who apparently was founded by John Blinkow, who I never heard, but he has to have a lot of money.
Well, I heard that it's $125,000 a night to go there.
Okay, well, they didn't propose, but I'll tell you the most interesting thing. So it's the idea of an orbiting space station built around a central circular wheel goes back to the earliest days of space travel in an idea by Werner von Braun.
Oh,
So that was
he was a
interesting.
good little Nazi.
And they actually admit here that he was one of the architects of the NASA Apollo program. I
That's
thought
not
that
a secret. He was a
interesting.
Nazi, and they brought the Nazis
Yes.
here.
And in the 1950s, he proposed a wheel-shaped habitat spinning to create artificial gravity. So what they want to do is they want to have this hotel, but they also want to sell part of it to NASA and lease it out to scientists and so on and so forth. So we don't really know what it is, but I
You
thought
know
that was
what?
kind
I
of
think that
interesting.
they should send Congress up there first and see what happens, and then we can
Well,
think
first of all,
about
let's take away their jobs and their buildings and their salaries until they take care of the people the way they're supposed to.
Well, if you live on a satellite like that, you can't really go anywhere.
That's true.
You
So they
have
have
to
to
stay
stay
inside.
there, and then they have to
And-
fix
and-
things.
yeah.
They could send the
And
orders
you will
to
have to
Earth.
wear a mask if you go outside.
Yeah, that's true. They would like that. So remember, people, you need to get your books. You need to fix your mind pattern. We have had
Well-
a lot of questions because of the Italian interview on the AO scanner.
I know, and they still have not brought me my pizza. I
Right.
ordered it after the last session.
Yeah, well, anyway, so the AO scanner is on our site. You can order that through a link that will give us credit at expansions.com for the sale. And we cannot tell you that it will heal anything.
But it works.
We tell you that it works, and we have people who are giving us their reports of positive results.
I mentioned it on the Italian interview.
Yes, which is English Spanish, and it was
No, it
very.
was English
I mean
Italian.
English Italian. So it was a very good interview.
Although I did do one in English, Italian, Spanish also.
Well, we did that together. That was a webinar, so that's also out there. But there's all kinds of information that you can do to heal your body, mind, and soul, and that's
Yeah.
our mission. Amongst all this craziness, is to help you, whether you like it or not.
Speaking of missions.
Yeah.
So my question is, I told you I was going to have something to say after this March 4th baloney. My question is, who's running the Hollywood
The show.
Is it Deep State making the Hollywood show? Is it the right side making the Hollywood show? Is it both of them? Like you say, two wings on the same bird? You know, who's running the show? And when is the show going to end? Because it's getting old, really
Right.
old.
And that's what I'm telling you. You're really your only hope. You've got to work on your own mind, and you have to stop living in fear. This is the
And-
thing that's running people, is fear.
Talk about fear, because people, I told you that I can do things that I never admit to anything before. And so I'm not waiting much longer. If something doesn't happen that frees up this country and this planet, I'm going to have to do my own work.
Yeah, and I'm going to tell you, like we talked about, I've brought this up now 2 or 3 times just in this last podcast. The thing that really bothers me is if Trump is supposedly a good guy,
Why is he letting this happen? Why is he
Why?
letting people die, lose their business, lose their homes, not see their family, take poison vaccinations? Why would he allow this?
And not only that, but you know what? I just spoke to a woman and she said her son, who declined his sports team, if he would have stayed on there, would have had to have taken a test 2 times a week during his season. Walk in, and he was a wrestler, walk in with a mask on, then take his mask off, wrestle 4 different people without the mask, and then go back.
Because coronavirus doesn't go on wrestlers.
Right.
When they're wrestling, it goes away.
Right, and you know what else? You can go sit in a restaurant, okay, you can sit up to 6 people, take your mask off and eat, but kids in school have got to sit there with this thing on their face. And that is horrible mind control, damaging these children
Yeah,
psychologically.
so if I'm on in a restaurant on the Texas-Louisiana border, but I'm on the Texas side, I have no mask, I'm sitting next to everybody, I'm doing everything, but just a few feet away, there's people wearing masks. Can you explain that to me?
And we have had in this area alone in the last couple of months 2 suicides of children,
least.
of young people that I'm aware of, 17-year-olds, both were 17-year-old males. So this is why I'm saying, if the Trump administration or whatever they are good, Why are they doing this?
Well, I have a
to
real big doubt
families?
about all of it.
That's
Because
what
if
I'm
they
telling
really
you.
had people's best interest in mind, they wouldn't allow this to happen and
That's
let
right.
it go on for so long. So, you know what? I don't like either side.
And they're allowing the people who own the tests and the vaccines to make billions of dollars while you're suffering. And they're allowing all the high level, supposedly business people to make billions of dollars while our small business people are
And
suffering.
quite frankly, I've had enough, and I'm going to do something about it.
So that's what we have to say. Join our site, expansions.com. Get in on our daily discussions with our global community where we are sharing our thoughts and our feelings and taking care of our body, minds, and souls and not living in fear.
Well, don't forget next weekend, those of you who live in the United States of China, we turn the clocks ahead 1 hour, even though the rest of the world doesn't.
More ways
Explain
to
that
mess
one
with
to me.
your mind.
Explain that one to me.
We have our mind control and deprogramming package. So you need to read up on it and you need to understand what's going on. And then you may be surprised at how many programs you have running inside your head that you don't even realize.
Yeah.
So we have lots of ways to help you determine what you need. Be your own best teacher. Nobody else can do it but
And
you.
please stop sending me videos and statements and Twitter accounts and blah, blah, blah. I don't want to hear it anymore. It's BS, all of it.
And not only that, but we don't have time. We both have almost 5,000 friends, and people send us videos and all this that we can't even open. We don't want to because they come at us faster than we could possibly begin. If you need to get a hold of us, customer support at expansions.com. We also have a chat on our website, expansions.com. So leave your comments there or get a membership where we discuss with our members on a daily basis. We cannot also do all social media comments as well. We are already overwhelmed with everything that we do.
I'm overwhelmed with what's going on, and like I say, I'm not doing it anymore. No, done.
So take care of
Now
yourself.
it's going to be Stewie rules.
Is that right?
Have you ever seen ring scorpions? Keep your eyes open. Bye for now.
Bye.